Okay, so after Night of Champions, and of course 2 weeks heading into Hell in a Cell, we get to have a pretty decent episode of Raw, ironically. It began with the discussion of the conspiracy. Of course, this discussion involved CM Punk, Triple H, and John Laurinaitis. Now, CM Punk thinks Triple H has any part to do with it, thinks it's probably John Laurinaitis. The Laurinaitis actually wanted Punk to beat H so then Laurinaitis could become the COO. Actually not that bad. Then Laurinaitis fires CM Punk. Triple H then quickly rehires CM Punk and he does his whole yay. And then he makes a match for later on that night. But we'll get to that a little later on. You know, they had a pretty solid 8-man tag with Gabriel, Air Boom, and Sheamus taking on Barrett, McGillicuddy, Otunga, and Christian. And as we're watching it, my buddy was like, man, you know what? When he saw Sheamus and Barrett fight, he goes, I actually want to see those two fight. I actually like that'd be a good, stiff, old school, you know, combat, which would really kind of want to see every now and then, is two young stars just really wail on each other and make a nice, physical, brutal match. Alberto Del Rio took on Morrison in a squash match, which is weird to see Morrison just get destroyed by Alberto Del Rio like that. Even Kelly Kelly took on the combined team of Beth Phoenix and Natalya, and of course, cheap roll-up victory. So Beth Phoenix and Natalya, probably two of the most dominant women to ever be a tag team, just consistently get schooled. Hugh Jackman came out to help promote his movie Real Steel. And then Dolph Ziggler and Vickie Guerrero came out. The nice thing about this whole entire thing was that Jackman and Guerrero were trying to not bust out laughing as Ziggler made a bunch of horrible missteps. You know, he's like, yeah, can you hear the scene of Batman? He's Wolverine, he's not Christian Bale. Then he's like, you know, I'm gonna find myself an underdog. Crowds start going nuts for Ryder. So he gets on the mic, you want Ryder? He then hops down out of the ring and asks for a sign, and that sign says, Ryder greater than Wolverine. Of course, it then leads to Zack Ryder taking on Dolph Ziggler, with Ryder picking up the victory. Pretty solid. Definitely pretty solid. I still wish they would have had a Ryder's promo from last week, where he's like, look, I can draw money. Climb over the fence. Look at me, I'm getting over. It was ridiculous. Ryder currently is like white hot. It's absolutely insane what he was able to do on YouTube. And if you watch it, you're going to quickly realize this guy's really smart. He should almost become a writer for the E, and people would probably start really getting over it and it'd be really interesting. Ace Sin Cara took on Cody Rhodes. Oh wait, tried to take on Cody Rhodes, and other Sin Cara showed up for a Sin Cara versus Sin Cara off. And we tried to figure out what Cody Rhodes was doing the whole time they were kind of having a match. And it was pretty solid, you know. I think that Sin Cara doesn't have a lucha to work against, so I think Sin Cara fighting Sin Cara would kind of make sense. One's bigger than the other, and one has blonde hair. It's going to make calling the match difficult, as well as how do you keep their win-loss record? Is it Sin Cara asterisk? It just seemed really bizarre and confusing to actually have a match with Cody Rhodes get dropped so you could have a run-in interlude fight with Sin Cara and Sin Cara. Miz and R-Truth went into H's office to apologize for everything they've done, and they're both hit with a $250,000 fine apiece, and we're told to get ready for their match later on that evening against a team of CM Punk and John Cena. And of course, they happened to lose to CM Punk and Cena. H came down and then probably fired both Miz and Truth, which led to Miz and Truth attacking H in the back, with everyone else essentially tossing Miz and Truth out of the building. And we left out one segment, pretty much. And that was Mark Henry, you know, essentially getting interviewed by Jim Ross. And I'll be honest, being somebody who doubted that Mark Henry would eventually make it to this point. So far this year, he has had an absolutely fantastic time. I can remember when he took on The Undertaker at WrestleMania in Chicago. I was on the ground floor during the press conference. When he says, "I'm not scared of caskets," I yelled back at him, "Mark Henry is scared of a scale." And there were people who thought I was a plant, being that I'm, 6'3", at that time I was like 240 pounds. Mark Henry was none too thrilled with that comment. I don't know if it actually made it through, but everyone who was there taking notes, all kind of stopped for a moment, expecting Mark Henry to probably promptly make his way around the podium and then charge and tear me in half. But much to his credit, he's done a very good job solidifying himself as actually the top heel. However, when he was talking about things, he did mention that he was injury prone. And for a long time, he had lots and lots of leg injuries. When he used to do the chocolate slide, he would very commonly, when he'd go through it, he'd actually injure his ankle. What did he do for the past 15 years? Well, he was sexual chocolate. He had a relationship with Mae Young, which led to the birthing of a hand. So if you look back and think about it, Vince has never been good with the larger black man. If you look at Mabel, then King Mabel, then Viscera, then Big Daddy V. Somewhere around there, he was like a large sex machine. So apparently if you are a large black man, he will turn you into a sex machine for some point in time. But Henry's feud over on SmackDown currently has been fantastic. It's a lot better than seeing him as a face.